Look at Bernie Sanders. What a sack of crap. God, what an un-American piece of filth, man. Go to Venezuela, you dirtbag filth. Go with Joe Rogan. Get the hell out of this country, you traitor. I will never submit to you. So, imagine that class action suit on Joe Rogan for violations of Securities and Exchange Commission, promoting securities. Oh, let's go, President.
Madam Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, the First Lady of the United States.
Look at Pelosi, that meth head demon.
And my fellow Americans, we meet tonight at a moment of unlimited potential. As we begin a new Congress, I stand here ready to work with you to achieve historic breakthroughs for all Americans. Millions of our fellow citizens are watching us now gathered in this great chamber, hoping that we will govern not as two parties, but as one nation.
Democrats refuse to stand up. A literal sack of garbage.
The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people. Many of us have campaigned on the same core promises to defend American jobs and demand fair trade for American workers, to rebuild and revitalize our nation's infrastructure, to reduce the price of health care and prescription drugs,
Look at that meth head,
Pelosi. An immigration system that is safe, lawful, modern, and secure, and to pursue a foreign policy that puts America's interest first. There is a new opportunity in American politics if only we have the courage together to seize
God,
it.
look at the Democrats. I mean, you look at a group of mentally ill walruses, all in the same uniform, all like, we're women. We're women. We're women. We abort our babies. Our God is Satan. Our God is the government.
Winning for our party. Victory is winning for our country.
Meth head Pelosi's back there. Oh, look, meth head stands up. She's such a follower. Is meth head Alexandria Cortez? Is meth head in the crowd? Oh, there's Peter Schiff.
This year, America will recognize two important anniversaries that show us the majesty of America's mission and the power of American pride. In June, we mark 75 years since the start of what General Dwight D. Eisenhower called the Great Crusade, the Allied liberation of Europe in World War II.
From Pelosi's family, Mussolini.
On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky, and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea to save our
meth head Pelosi.
Civilization
He probably
from
snorted
tyranny.
like 3 lines of methamphetamine.
Here with us tonight are 3 of those incredible heroes. Private First Class Joseph Riley, Staff Sergeant Irving Locker, and Sergeant Herman Zaitchik. Please.
Oh, look, the little handler's like, sit down. It's all like rigged BS. And God, this country's so messed up. Got the little meth head telling him to sit down. It's just like a meth head. Look, it's Buzz Aldrin. That's Buzz Aldrin right there in the lower corner. He's right there. Look, he's right here. Buzz Aldrin. He told me about the alien bases. Right there. Can't make that up.
Gentlemen, we salute you. In 2019, we also celebrate 50 years since brave young pilots flew 250,000 miles through space to plant the American flag on the face of the moon. Half a century later,
oh yeah, that's Buzz
we are
Aldrin.
joined by one of the Apollo 11 astronauts.
Told you.
Who planted that flag, Buzz
Adam
Aldrin.
Schiff, yeah. I got Buzz Aldrin right, even though I got Adam Schiff wrong. See there? Tell us about the bases. Diggly dong. Owen, get in here. Get Owen a chair in here. You know Owen Short in there right now. Hey, look how badass this new studio is. Huh?
Thank you, Buzz. This year, American astronauts will go back to space on American rockets.
Why was Buzz Aldrin bald in the new movie First Man, but now he's not?
In the 20th century, America saved freedom, transformed science, redefined the middle class, and when you get down to it, there's nothing anywhere in the world that can compete with America.
Pelosi literally just crapped her pants. She had a big giant diaper on. And why are those liberals wearing all white? Is that a white supremacist thing? You know, the governor of Virginia? Probably is.
Step boldly and bravely into the next chapter of this great American adventure. And we must create a new standard of living for the 21st century. An amazing quality of life for all of our citizens is within reach. We can make our community safer, our families stronger, our culture richer, our faith deeper, and our middle class bigger and more prosperous than ever before. But we must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution, and embrace the boundless potential of cooperation, compromise, and the common good. Together, we can break decades of political stalemate. We can bridge old divisions, heal old wounds, build new coalitions, forge new solutions, and unlock the extraordinary promise of America's future. The decision is ours to make. We must choose between greatness or gridlock, results or resistance, vision or vengeance, incredible progress or pointless destruction. Tonight, I ask you to choose greatness. Over the last 2 years, my administration has moved with urgency and historic speed to confront problems neglected by leaders of both parties over many decades. In just over 2 years since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom, a boom that has rarely been seen before.
The globalists are trying to
There's been
stop.
nothing like it. We have created 5.3 million new jobs and importantly added
pissed Pelosi is.
600,000 new manufacturing
She's
jobs.
literally working every
Something
hour
which
against you and your
almost
family.
everyone said was
If she can
impossible
sexualize your
to do.
children, she'll do it.
But the fact is, we are just getting started. Wages are rising at the fastest pace in decades and growing for blue-collar workers
How
who I
evil
promised
Pelosi
to
is.
fight for.
Mafia
They're
garbage.
growing faster than anyone else thought possible. Nearly 5 million Americans have been lifted off food stamps.
Pelosi can't stand that. It's just hard to look at that sack of garbage. I don't even know if I can do the show anymore. Seriously, I can't look at Pelosi anymore. If you're a radio listener, really lucky. Pelosi's just this
The
un-American.
economy is growing almost twice as fast today as when I took office. And we are considered far and away the hottest economy anywhere in the world.
That's true.
Not even close.
So even though they've done the interest rate hikes and tried to kill it, we're still the hottest. Look at Sanders. I mean, look at the filth this country
The
allows to
lowest
operate.
rate in over half a century.
Bernie Sanders is such a sack of filth. I mean, he's just a sack of filth. A sack of demonic filth that rips off universities, steals money, has all these big houses, all this money he stole. He's just a big sack of crap.
African-American, Hispanic American, and Asian American unemployment have all reached their lowest levels ever recorded.
But that just pisses off Bernie Sanders. White people don't know what it's like to be poor. I like the Soviet Union. We taught you Christians how we run things. I'm a big man now.
Employment for Americans with disabilities has also reached an all-time low.
Doesn't matter, Trump. Doesn't matter. I'm Bernie Sanders.
More people are working now than at any time in the history of our country. 157 million people.
That's racist. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She knows
We
what.
passed a massive tax cut for working families and doubled the child
Look at that
tax
meth head
credit.
addict. Nancy Pelosi, that degenerate goblin. He's like, ugh. Look at her, she hates America so much. Everything her whole will is destroy America. Destroy America. I'm Nancy Pelosi.
We virtually ended the estate tax, or death tax, as it is often called, on small businesses, for ranches, and also for family farms.
Nancy Pelosi, she know better.
We eliminated the very unpopular Obamacare individual mandate penalty.
We got 2 Supreme Court judges in, bitch. How you like that?
And to give critically ill patients access to life-saving cures.
And we tried to end all these wars.
Passed, very importantly,
But the left's like, no.
to try.
Yeah, that's that hot chick from Arizona that,
My
like, vice
administration
president goes.
has cut more regulations in a short period of time than any other administration during its entire tenure.
Just look at Pelosi. She's like, the word is she, like, when she sits there, she craps in her seat. So there's like 20 pounds of
Companies
feces.
are coming back to our country in large numbers, thanks to our historic reductions in taxes and regulations.
Can you believe Pelosi crapped in her chair? I mean, look, I agree she has some elitism. She is
And
the
we have
speaker,
unleashed
but
a revolution in American energy. The United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas anywhere in the world.
was it 2 years ago? So Pelosi's just like sitting on a giant pile. She's just like, that doesn't matter. She's like, I just pooped in my chair, so it doesn't matter. I just pooped in my chair. That's all that matters to her.
And now, for the first time in 65 years, we are a net exporter of energy.
Pelosi just like, I mean, Pelosi at this point is like having a heart attack. She's like, I was going to destroy America. I'm sworn to destroy it.
After 24 months of rapid progress, our economy is the envy of the world. Our military is the most powerful on earth by far.
Look at Pelosi
And America-
rolling her eyes. I mean, I mean, God help us. This is a literal piece of trash. I mean, it's like to have trash like this literally sitting up there is unspeakable. It's like, where did they get someone like this?
America is again winning each and every day.
Pelosi's like, can I have another line of methamphetamine, please?
Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
USA, which they can't stand. Look at the leftists. They are so pissed, right? God, look at these people. America's strong. Leftist women. No, it's not. We love Muslims. We love our Somalis, too. Oh, they're so good.
That sounds so good.
Oh, they are so good, yeah.
Our country is vibrant, and our economy is thriving like never before. On Friday, it was announced that we added another 304,000 jobs last month alone.
How dare him?
Almost double the number expected.
Oh, no, Pelosi's like, oh. We love our method. We love our Pelosi. Oh, she's so good. Oh, she's so sweet.
An economic miracle is taking place in the United States, and the only thing that can stop it are foolish wars, politics, or ridiculous partisan investigations.
Oh my God, he's against wars? Oh my God, right wing. Oh no, he's against Afghanistan. Let's impeach him. He's against wars. It's liberal. We want wars. We're liberal.
There is going to be peace and legislation. There cannot be war and investigation. It just doesn't work that way.
Oh, I can't believe this.
We must be united at home to defeat our adversaries abroad. This new era of cooperation can start with finally confirming the more than 300 highly qualified nominees who are still stuck in the Senate, in some cases years and years waiting. Not right. The Senate has failed to act on these nominations, which is unfair to the nominees and very unfair to our country. Now is the time for bipartisan action. Believe it or not, we have already proven that that's possible.
What a good man.
In the last Congress,
I let him babysit my
both
kids.
parties
Look at
came
Schumer.
together
He's
to
so
pass
good.
unprecedented
What a nice
legislation
man.
to
What a
confront
good person.
the opioid crisis, a
God,
sweeping
Chuck Schumer is so
new
good.
farm bill, historic VA reforms.
Look at
And after
Booker,
4
too.
decades
Oh,
of rejection,
and
we passed
Menendez, they're so
VA
good.
accountability so that we can finally terminate those who mistreat our wonderful veterans.
Oh, that's racist. Oh, don't take care of veterans. Oh, my goodness. I've never heard of such racism. Oh, no.
And just weeks ago, both parties united for groundbreaking criminal justice reform. They said it couldn't be done.
Don't let those blacks out of jail, racist. Oh, more racism from Trump. You don't let black people out of jail. Oh, I'm ashamed right now to be a Trump supporter. I can't believe it.
Last year, I heard through friends the story of Alice Johnson. I was deeply moved. In 1997, Alice was sentenced to life in prison as a first-time nonviolent drug offender. Over the next 22 years, she became a prison minister, inspiring others to choose a better path. She had a big impact on that prison population and far beyond. Alice's story underscores the disparities and unfairness that can exist
You believe the racism?
in criminal sentencing.
He's trying to let a black lady
and
out
the
of jail.
need
Okay,
to
I
remedy
apologize.
this
is so
total
brutal.
injustice. She served almost that 22 years and had expected to be in prison for the remainder of her life. In June, I commuted Alice's sentence.
Folks, I apologize for
When
this
I saw
KKK broadcast. Let blacks out of jail. This is super right-wing. I'm sorry.
Greet her at the prison gates, hugging and kissing and crying and laughing. I knew I did something right. Alice is with us tonight, and she is a terrific woman.
How dare him?
Terrific.
God,
Alice,
he's letting
please.
blacks out of prison for nonviolence. Oh, God. We're like David Dukeland right now. This is so evil right now. I apologize if yours. The racism you just saw is unspeakable. The Democrats passed laws to give blacks triple the prison sentences, and Trump said it, but he's the bad guy. It's true. He's bad. I agree. Trump's bad. Screw him. God. This is unbelievable. I never see such racism. I just
Thank you for reminding us that we always have the power to shape our own.
next he
destiny.
tries to end
Thank
the
you
wars,
very
which
much,
is even more
Alice.
racist.
Thank you very much.
Oh my God, folks! I want to apologize right now. Like that black woman should be in prison for 50 billion
Inspired
years.
by stories like Alice's, my administration worked closely with members of both parties to sign the First Step Act into law. Big deal.
Oh my God!
Big deal.
To get black people out of prison who didn't commit violent acts. Folks, I just can't believe this. This is KKK. Folks, this is KKK.
Legislation reformed sentencing laws that have wrongly and disproportionately harmed the African American community. The First Step Act gives nonviolent offenders the chance to re-enter society as productive, law-abiding citizens.
God, what a Nazi!
Now states across the country are following our lead.
Look at the leftist women just
America
laughing.
is a
It's all a big
nation
joke to them.
that believes
They
in
passed the
redemption.
laws to do this to their own people.
We are also joined
What
tonight
a scum, man.
by
What
Matthew
scum. Just look at those Democrats. This guy's happy to be out of prison.
1996,
They don't give a
At
freaking.
the age of 30, Matthew was sentenced to 35 years for selling drugs and related offenses. Over the next 2 decades, he completed more than 30 Bible studies, became a law clerk, and mentored many of his fellow inmates. Now Matthew is the very first person to be released from prison under the First Step Act.
The Democrats are literally trying to block this. millions to get out of prison. They're such filth. They're filth. They are filth. They are literal filth. These people are just unbelievable.
Thank you, Matthew. Welcome home.
By the way, there are some real racists. They're so pissed Trump did this on the right as well. This is like...
Now, Republicans and Democrats must join forces again to confront an urgent national crisis. Congress has 10 days left to pass a bill that will fund our government, protect our homeland, and secure our very dangerous southern border. Now is the time for Congress to show the world that America is committed to ending illegal immigration and putting the ruthless coyotes, cartels, drug dealers, and human traffickers out of business.
Which the left completely runs. And he literally says, legalize everybody that comes here professionally. And the left goes, no, we don't want that. We don't want, which has the right wing upset, like a literal conduit in the country. No, we just want open borders with criminals. It's pure evil. I mean, it's just, Trump is literally the most liberal president I've ever seen. He's a flaming liberal.
As we speak, large, organized caravans are on the march to the United States. We have just heard that Mexican cities, in order to remove the illegal immigrants from their communities, are getting trucks and buses to bring them up to our country in areas where there is little border protection. I have ordered another 3,750 troops to our southern border.
Look at Pelosi shaking her head. They literally staged this
onslaught
to collapse the country.
This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. We have a moral duty to create an immigration system that protects the lives and jobs of our citizens. This includes our obligation to the millions of immigrants living here today who followed the rules and respected our laws. Legal immigrants enrich our nation and strengthen our society in countless ways. I want people to come into our country in the largest numbers ever, but they have to come in legally. Tonight, I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border out of love and devotion to our fellow citizens and to our country. No issue better illustrates the divide between America's working class and America's political class than illegal immigration. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards.
I mean, folks, this is just total truth. I mean, it's just insane. We want Latin America to do well, but it's collapsing. And then we're just saying we have a basic border to check stuff like a front door. And he even tries to make it easy to become a citizen.
Working class Americans are left to pay the price for mass illegal immigration. Reduced jobs, lower wages, overburdened schools, hospitals that are so crowded you can't get in.
Oh, my God.
Increased crime, and a depleted social safety net.
I mean, California is collapsing.
Tolerance for illegal immigration is not compassionate. It is actually very cruel.
This is true. My God, man. Does everybody want to live in like Venezuela?
1 in 3 women is sexually
the Muslim woman. She wants to get here because Islam runs everything in her country. Women are slow. Oh, she's like,
human pawns
God, it made me sick.
exploit our laws and gain access to our country.
I'm so sick of our freedom being exploited. They cut women's genitals off in your country. Gays are killed. Why do we bow down to you? God, did you see the Muslim woman crying and bitching? She comes here, she gets elected, and she hates the country. Jesus.
Into prostitution and modern-day slavery. Tens of thousands of innocent Americans are killed by lethal drugs that cross our border and flood into our cities, including meth, heroin, cocaine, and fentanyl. The savage gang, MS-13, now operates in at least 20 different American states.
Which works for the Democrats.
And they almost all come through our southern border.
Yeah, could you believe?
Just yesterday, an MS-13
I'm really pissed right now.
was taken into custody for a fatal shooting on a subway platform in New York City. We are removing these gang members by the thousands, but until we secure our border, they're going to keep streaming right back in. Year after year, countless Americans are murdered by criminal, illegal aliens. I've gotten to know many wonderful angel moms and dads and families.
Pelosi, you won't even meet with them.
No one should ever have to suffer the horrible heartache that they have had to endure.
Gosh, look at meth head Pelosi.
Here tonight is Deborah Bissell. Just 3 weeks ago, Deborah's parents, Gerald and Sharon, were burglarized and shot to death in their Reno, Nevada home by an illegal alien. They were in their 80s and are survived by 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 20 great-grandchildren.
Yep.
Also here tonight are Gerald and Sharon's granddaughter, Heather, and great-granddaughter, Madison. To Deborah, Heather, Madison, please stand. Few can understand your pain. Thank you, and thank you for being here. Thank you.
Exactly, like Latin American crime, the left loves it. They're bringing it in. They're demonic, folks. The left is evil. You have to understand, people are committed to evil. They're possessed. And they won't cover it. They won't talk about it. Go for the president.
I will never forget, and I will fight for the memory of Gerald and Sharon, that it should never happen again. Not one more American life should be lost because our nation failed to control its very dangerous border. In the last 2 years, our brave ICE officers made 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of nearly 100,000 assaults, 30,000 sex crimes, and 4,000 killings or murders. We are joined tonight by one of those law enforcement heroes, ICE Special Agent Elvin Hernandez. When Elvin
Folks, I wish it would. Latin America's collapsing. Like, what are we going to do? I mean, that's like literally the country is under global assault. What are we going to do?
When Elvin was a boy, he and his family legally immigrated to the United States from the Dominican Republic. At the age of 8, Elvin told his dad he wanted to become a special agent. Today, he leads investigations into the scourge of international sex trafficking. Elvin says that if I can make sure these young girls get their justice, I've really done my job. Thanks to his work and that of his incredible colleagues, more than 300 women and girls have been rescued from the horror of this terrible situation.
Look at Pelosi.
And more than 1,500 sadistic traffickers have been put behind bars.
You ever feel the Democrats literally run human smuggling? I mean, it's hard to demonize them what they deserve. Like, they are the demons of Earth. I mean, they are the worst people. And then there's Alexandria Cortez up there in her freaking white outfit, her KKK robes. She calls everybody else KKK. You're KKK, bitch.
The brave men and women of law enforcement. And I pledge to you tonight that I will never abolish our heroes from ICE. Thank you.
What the Democrats want? No border. You got 800 million people, a collapsing border, civil war, Venezuela collapse. They're like, get rid of the border, world government, woo, woo. And I'm just like, wow.
My administration has sent to Congress a common sense proposal to end the crisis on the southern border. It includes humanitarian assistance, more law enforcement, drug detection at our ports, closing loopholes that enable child smuggling, and plans for a new physical barrier or wall to secure the vast
he's not
areas
just saying
between our ports of entry.
They're smuggling kids across. It's
In the
admitted.
past, most of the people in this room voted for a wall, but the proper wall never got built. I will get it built.
Exactly. The Democrats all voted for walls, and the damn thing needs to be built. It's freaking $5 billion. They spend hundreds of billions in these fake wars every year. These stupid jet fighters don't work. Build the wall.
This is a smart, strategic, see-through steel barrier, not just a simple concrete wall. It will be deployed in the areas identified by the border agents as having the greatest need. And these agents will tell you where walls go up, illegal crossings go way, way down.
Like, oh, they dig under it. No. We have a door. You have a front door. You have screens on your house. It doesn't mean you hate your neighbors, but you have a wall.
San Diego used to have the most illegal border crossings in our country. In response, a strong security wall was put in place. This powerful barrier almost completely ended illegal crossings. The border city of El Paso, Texas, used to have extremely high rates of violent crime, one of the highest in the entire country, and considered one of our nation's most dangerous cities. Now, immediately upon its building, with a powerful barrier in place, El Paso is one of the safest cities in our country. Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
Yeah, you're dealing with a collapsed country, which sucks because Mexico's a great country, but it's a war zone. Look at Schumer. I mean, you need a wall for that guy.
Let's work together, compromise, and reach a deal that will truly make America safe. As we work to defend our people's safety, we must also ensure our economic resurgence.
By the way,
continues.
I can
at
make a lot of
rapid
points
pace.
like other people
No one has benefited
attacking
more
Trump, but
from
like
our thriving
he's trying to pull us out of wars.
than women,
He's trying to get us better
who have
economic deals.
filled
He's trying to
58%
secure the border.
of the
Like, what am I supposed to bitch
created
about?
jobs last year.
I just don't get it. Like, I can attack Trump and be like the darling right now. Okay, vaccines. He didn't do that like he said. Okay, screw you, Trump. Okay, I agree. He's wrong there. What else? Like, I can't run my own life, and Trump's doing everything he said he would do. So, I mean, what am I supposed to do? A bunch of women in white is bitching about America? Go move to fucking.
You weren't supposed to do that.
Go move to Islam then. Okay, it's so
very
damn
much.
good. You freaking ass.
Thank you very much.
I-
All Americans can be proud that we have more women in the workforce than ever before.
Yeah, and Trump put more women in jobs. Doesn't matter to those leftist women, Cortez and all these jerks. They'll take us to Venezuela, and they're going to do it. So it doesn't matter what we do. Which, why should I empower the country? Why should we all do it? And then they're going to hand it over to these people. We have reached that point. Soon I'm going to ask the question. It may be time to give up.
Like this.
Yeah, it may be time.
Exactly 1 century after Congress passed the constitutional amendment giving women the right to vote, we also have
They're all voting
more
for the end of
women
America.
serving in Congress than at any time before.
And Pelosi, the method's like, yes, yes, yes. Because I wish women were voting for what made the country great, but they're not. They're not. A bunch of meth head leftists. Like, oh yeah. Can you wait till those women are running the country for foreign banks and the Chi-Coms up against the Russians, everybody else? I mean, my God. Look at them. I mean, this is pathetic.
That's great.
I just give up.
Very great. And congratulations. That's great. As part of our commitment to improving opportunity for women everywhere, this Thursday, we are launching the first ever government-wide initiative focused on economic empowerment for women in developing countries. To build on, thank you. To build on our incredible economic success, one priority is paramount: reversing decades of calamitous trade policies. So bad. We are now making it clear to China that after years of targeting our industries and stealing our intellectual property, the theft of American jobs and wealth has come to an end. Therefore, we recently imposed tariffs on $250 billion of Chinese goods, and now our Treasury is receiving billions and billions of dollars. But I don't blame China for taking advantage of us. I blame our leaders and representatives for allowing this travesty to happen. I have great respect for President Xi, and we are now working on a new trade deal with China. But it must include real structural change to end unfair trade practices, reduce our chronic trade deficit, and protect American jobs.
Oh, and you won't respond to any of this. I mean, this is good stuff Trump's saying, but what do you think?
Well,
Another historic trade blunder was
it's interesting how the Democrats wouldn't chant USA or stand and cheer at all until Nancy Pelosi gave them the conductor's order to stand and cheer when he mentioned the women's suffrage thing. So it just shows how these people are only motivated by their own political agenda or their own, political appearance. So it just goes to show you.
No, you're right, but I love America. But our tolerance of all these fascists is pathetic. It makes me want to just leave the country. I mean, because
Well, it's funny, Alex, because I bet most people don't understand your frustration right now because President Trump's speech has been, I would say, a massive success so far. But the problem is because we have been so tolerant and quite frankly, I mean, because even masculine men are in comparison to men in the past pretty emasculine. That's why we let these people run over our country. That's why eventually these people probably will run over our country. Trump probably will end up being the last president. And so what you're seeing, Alex, is the fact that we have a bunch of cucks and just nobodies up there like Pelosi who are just I mean, imagine Pelosi defending, like a bowl of candy on Halloween. It'd be, game over. They'd be running circles. They'd run her down and she'd be doing 360 like, oh, where am I? Huh? Oh, at least everybody got candy.
Like, how did this sack of crap dominate us?
So I understand your
Trump's
frustration,
doing is unity,
Alex.
and that's all of the news. All of the news demonizing Trump for this incredibly unifying speech. It's like, do we even deserve Trump? And I'm being honest, like, do we deserve this? This guy has beat his brains out to turn the country around, and he's surrounded by a bunch of assholes.
Well, it's nice to see the ceremonious of the coming together and the people cheering, but at the end of the day, we know who Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and who these people really are.
And she just keeps shaking her damn head, man. She hates America so much, but she loves our milk and honey, but she doesn't want to be in part of the country. It's like, can't people get these people are the enemy? God.
Well, that's why Alex, that's why you scream war, because America with a beating heart that's not going to tolerate all of this insanity is at war with these people right now. But we just tolerate it. We say, oh, look at little Nancy. And, she's senile and probably drunk right now, but it's cute and she's wearing white. And the rest of the Democrats are wearing their white KKK outfits. It's good to see them go back to their roots.
and I am eager to work with you on legislation to deliver new.
By the way, I want to turn against Trump. I want to see him do something wrong, but I couldn't do as good as he's doing. I just sit back okay, I'll get brownie points if I attack him. I don't want to. He just keeps delivering under all these attacks. It makes me sick, Owen. I don't know what to do at this point. America is literally being given their chance to a future, and they don't care. They're just pissing all over it.
Yeah, we elected Trump, but yet we still have to sit here and watch America die.
To protect patients with pre-existing conditions.
And he's like, I'm not going to put black people in prison. I'm going to fix the economy. I'm going to end the wars. And the left's like, no, bitch, we're going to have some big-ass wars. We're going to kill people. And it's like, we for what? I mean, it's like, wow.
As a result of my administration's efforts in 2018, drug prices experienced their single largest decline in 46 years.
Yeah, well, people don't want prosperity, Trump, okay? They want jihadis raping their daughters. So, I mean,
Yeah, they want the Democrats politicizing the Supreme Court. By the way, where's Ruth Bader Ginsburg?
It's unacceptable that Americans pay vastly
Well,
more
that's my
than
problem. I don't want to back Trump. How do you not back him with what he's done? It's like sick. It's like the people won't take victory. I go back to the Bible.
This is wrong.
Where it's the one day of the year where they would let somebody go, and it's like, oh, we're gonna let Jesus go or Barabbas. Barabbas is a rapist, a murderer, and they go, we want Barabbas. And it's like when they say we want Barabbas, you're like, okay. At a certain point, Owen, what do you do when they want Barabbas? They don't want success. They don't want it. They just want to piss all over it. At a certain point, it's very depressing, Owen.
Well, the frustration that you have with President Trump is as much as he has done and as much as he wants to do, we know that he has to do so much more. And the truth of the matter is he can't be politically correct. He can't play politics with these people. He has to take the reins off. He has to take the gloves off. And he just has to say, look, I have a duty, a sworn oath to protect this nation.
And he literally does the opposite of Hillary, saying blacks are predators and lets blacks out of prison and does all this and tries to end wars. And the left goes, we want war. It's like, who were these people? Seriously, you know they tried to impeach Trump this week. The Republicans
And they
sent him a
won't
letter.
stop.
They said, we'll impeach you if you stop the wars. And the left's like, yeah, we want wars. So, I mean, what do you do to that? Like, I wish Trump was bad. I'd go against him. How do you go against him? Like Rand Paul said, he's really proud of him. Owen, how do you go against somebody doing what they're supposed to do? It makes it even worse.
Well, I just wish somebody would investigate Nancy Pelosi like they've investigated Roger Stone. I mean, Roger Stone has only processed crimes, which he's innocent of. How does Nancy Pelosi become a billionaire? How is she in office for 30 years becoming a billionaire with a paycheck that equivalents $275,000 a year?
Once distant dream within reach. My budget will ask Democrats and Republicans to make the needed commitment to eliminate the HIV epidemic in the United States within 10 years. We have made incredible strides, incredible.
Oh, now he wants to help people with HIV. What a demon. I mean, Owen, I'm not just trying to kiss Trump's ass. He makes it hard to be against him. I mean, it's like he's doing so much good stuff, and then they just ignore it all and just say he's a Nazi. It's very irritating, Owen.
Well, you just have to call it like it is. And, I mean, I would say 80% of what Trump has done you can't go against. It's just, yeah, common sense. Why wouldn't you do that?
In another fight,
unless you hate America, which Democrats, I guess, do.
The fight against childhood cancer.
Which has exploded. This is where Trump drops the ball because this is all viruses. It's all injected. It's all part of the Globus program.
Yeah, they came out, what was it, 3 years ago? They admitted cancer was viral, I think.
Almost all of it is.
In the gallery this evening is a very brave 10-year-old girl, Grace
Sit down,
Eli.
Nan. Somebody get
Every
Nan to sit
birthday.
down. She's losing it.
I mean, what a meth head demon.
Well, I mean, you only can spend a couple $100 million on alcohol before you lose your mind, Nancy Pelosi. I mean, they're literally finding Democrat campaign numbers. They're spending millions of dollars on booze. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Hi, Grace. Every birthday since she was 4, Grace asked her friends to donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital.
But see, no one asked, why is everybody getting cancer? All right, Owen, you take it over and finish up with the whole piece. I did a lot on Joe Rogan, and Joe can't believe I'm like so on his ass. It's just that I can't go along with this anymore. I can't go along with these false paradigms. So I appreciate the crew coming in tonight. Appreciate everything everybody's done.
And raised more than $40,000 for the fight against cancer.
But find out why everybody's getting cancer. So Owen's going to take over and finish up. This is Trump's State of the Union, third State of the Union, 2019. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Without you, we fail. Without your support, we're gone. And hey, that's your choice. We're gone. So I appreciate you all.
When Grace completed treatment last fall, her doctors and nurses cheered. They loved her. They still love her. With tears in their eyes, as she hung up a poster that read, "Last day of chemo."
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Infowars.com live coverage of the State of the Union here. President Trump probably set to wrap it up in just a few minutes. We'll continue our coverage till he's finished. We'll go over some highlights. Don't go anywhere.
Many childhood cancers have not seen new therapies in decades. My budget will ask Congress for $500 million over the next 10 years to fund this critical life-saving research. To help support working parents, the time has come to pass school choice for Americans' children. I am also proud to be the first president to include in my budget a plan for nationwide paid family leave so that every new parent has the chance to bond with their newborn child.
Called for. So, another point, if you will, for the Democrats here. It's not a bad thing that Trump gives them what they want on some of these issues, but they'll still hate him.
Of a mother holding her infant child than the chilling displays our nation saw in recent days. Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in the mother's womb.
Oh, you don't like that, do you, Nancy? Look at how Trump just set them up. That was beautiful. President Trump just set them up saying, we want to stop infant cancer. We want to have paid maternity leave so mothers can spend time with their children and their infants. Babies are beautiful. Democrats stand. Then he drops the hammer and says, guess what? Democrats are murdering them after they're born. Ha! And then Nancy Pelosi sits there like the piece of you-know-what she is. Oh, that was beautiful. That was just, it's one of those old things where you're at the park and you throw the ball up to yourself and then just, see ya. Yeah, suck on that one, Pelosi. You guys murder children. The Democrats support infanticide. Thank you, President Trump, for saying that.
A fundamental truth. All children, born and unborn, are made in the holy image of God. The final part of my agenda is to protect American security. Over the last 2 years, we have begun to fully rebuild the United States military with $700 billion last year and $716 billion this year. We are also getting other nations to pay their fair share. Finally.
Yeah, the Democrats just want America to be the world's piggy bank. No thanks. That's how we got in this situation.
For years, the United States was being treated very unfairly by friends of ours, members of NATO. But now we have secured, over the last couple of years, more than $100 billion of increase in defense spending from our NATO allies. They said it couldn't be done. As part of our military buildup, the United States is developing a state-of-the-art missile defense system. Under my administration, we will never apologize for advancing America's interests. For example, decades ago, the United States entered into a treaty with Russia in which we agreed to limit and reduce our missile capability. While we followed the agreement and the rules to the letter, Russia repeatedly violated its terms.
Oh my gosh, listen to this Russian agent.
That is why I announced that
gosh.
The United States is officially withdrawing from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, or INF Treaty. Perhaps.
Uh-oh. Oh, wow. How could the president that colluded with Russia, even though they have no evidence, they just claim that, how can he be going against Russia like this? Wow. What will the Washington Post say?
We really have no choice. Perhaps we can negotiate
look
a
at
different
Pelosi.
agreement,
Aw.
adding China and others.
But my Russia. But
Or
my
perhaps
Russia.
we can't, in which case we will outspend and out-innovate all others by far.
That's been the American way. That's what created the highest standard of living. What created all this independence. Anybody could be a king or queen.
As part of a
Build
bold
their own
new
castle.
diplomacy, we continue our historic push for peace on the Korean Peninsula. Our hostages have come home. Nuclear testing has stopped, and there has not been a missile launch in more than 15 months. If I had not been elected President of the United States, we would right now, in my opinion, be in a major war with North Korea. Much work remains to be done, but my relationship with Kim Jong-un is a good one. Chairman Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam.
Big month for President Trump. State of the Union tonight. In 10 days, the government shutdown 2.0 starts, and then he goes to Vietnam to meet with Kim
the
Jong-un.
legitimate government of Venezuela and its new president, Juan Guaido.
Oh boy, more proof of Russian collusion. You know, Russia sent their military contractors to Venezuela today to keep Maduro in power. Oh yeah, look at this Russian agent. Now he's going against Russia again in Venezuela.
We condemn the
What a
brutality
joke.
of the Maduro regime, whose socialist policies have turned that nation from being the wealthiest in South America into a state of abject poverty and despair.
See, the trick here is not to put it on Maduro. I'm a fan of Maduro. I'm saying that the angle here is to put it on socialism. It's what socialism does to a country.
We are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country.
Yeah, the whole Republican Party should be up screaming
was
right now.
founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free.
Yes! Make communist an insult again. These damn commies.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Yeah! Even Pelosi's clapping. Pelosi is only clapping right now to rub it in Cortez's face. Now she's looking at Cortez. Can she see me? Can Cortez see me? Yeah.
One of the most complex set of challenges we face and have for many years is in the Middle East. Our approach is based on principle.
What is Pelosi doing back? How
realism,
drunk is Nancy Pelosi? I'm sorry.
not discredited theories that have failed for decades to yield progress. For this reason, my administration recognized the true capital of Israel and proudly opened the American embassy in Jerusalem.
You know how when you go to a party or you're at the bar or something and you're the sober one and you're not drinking and it's you can kind of tell everyone around you is drunk and it's a little annoying? That's Pence and Pelosi right now. Pelosi's probably 5 or 6 drinks in, and Pence is stone cold sober as always.
In the Middle East for almost 19 years. In Afghanistan and Iraq, nearly 7,000 American heroes have given their lives. More than 52,000 Americans have been badly wounded. We have spent more than $7 trillion in fighting wars in the Middle East. As a candidate for president, I loudly pledged a new approach. Great nations do not fight endless wars.
Boy, it's nice to hear President Trump going against all these foreign wars. And in a weird twist of fate, it's the Republicans cheering more than the Democrats.
When I took office, ISIS controlled more than 20,000 square miles in Iraq and Syria just 2 years ago. Today, we have liberated virtually all of the territory from the grip of these bloodthirsty monsters. Now, as we work with our allies to destroy the remnants of ISIS, it is time to give our brave warriors in Syria a warm welcome home. I have also accelerated our negotiations to reach, if possible, a political settlement in Afghanistan. The opposing side is also very happy to be negotiating. Our troops have fought with unmatched valor, and thanks to their bravery, we are now able to pursue a possible political solution to this long and bloody conflict.
Now that should be front-page news tomorrow. President Trump calls for the removal of troops in the Middle East, Afghanistan, and Syria. That should be, we should all be celebrating this. This is unbelievable. But the Democrats won't. And the leftist news won't. You know, Washington Post and New York Times will say, oh, you know, Trump is racist for wanting to stop infanticide.
As we make progress in these negotiations, we will be able to reduce our troops' presence and focus on counterterrorism, and we will indeed focus on counterterrorism. We do not know whether we'll achieve an agreement, but we do know that after 2 decades of war, the hour has come to at least try for peace, and the other side would like to do the same thing. It's time.
This is actually amazing, because the reason why Trump is able to do this, here's the difference. Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset in the Chechenian wars, and then so they had all of these proxy wars and all these leaders over there, and then Bush got in, and they turned him into the boogeyman Al-Qaeda, and so then they used Al-Qaeda to say we had to do this and that and start these wars. And then that kind of phased out, and Obama and Clinton started their proxy wars and turned it all into ISIS, and then they were moving ISIS in between Syria and Afghanistan for whatever agenda they had. And then Trump got in office, and he didn't take these proxy wars and say, how can I move these proxy armies around through the Middle East or Syria or you know, what have you, to try to foment some regime change or to get some political move over here. He comes in and he's like, okay, what's the problem here? Why is this going on? And now he wants to actually solve the issue. So that's the big difference. Bush gets in and turns the bin Ladens and all these old assets, Saddam Hussein, all these old assets in the Middle East into the boogeyman enemy that have always been under CIA control. And then when Obama gets in, he head fakes, acting like he wants to stop the wars in the Middle East and peace in the Middle East. And then with Hillary Clinton, actually turns it into ISIS, moves them into Syria to get the regime change in Syria. So if Hillary would have gotten in, they would have finished the regime change, they would have empowered ISIS in Afghanistan and Syria, and they would have used that for the new proxy war for the next 8 years. Trump gets in and actually wants to do something about it. That's why the wars aren't expanding, you see? It's that simple. We have a president that doesn't want to expand proxy wars in the Middle East. I'm sorry for pontificating on that, but the people need to understand. Bush, Clinton, Obama, all of them. They're using all of these proxy armies in the Middle East as a political tool for regime change. And Trump didn't want to do it, and that's why you haven't seen it since he became president. Not sure what he said to anger Pelosi there. Probably something like, let's make America first. Pelosi can't stand it. She's about to fall out of her chair drunk.
Put in place the toughest sanctions ever imposed by us on a country. We will not avert our eyes from a regime that chants death to America and threatens genocide against the Jewish people.
So now he's talking about Iran. So the Democrats love Iran. Obama gave pallets of cash to Iran. And say what you want about Iran, whether it's an issue of ours or not. What he's saying is true.
Or those who spread its venomous creed.
Like the Democrats.
With one voice,
Ilhan
we must
Omar
confront this hatred
Rashida Tlaib.
anywhere and everywhere it occurs. Just months ago, 11 Jewish Americans were viciously murdered in an anti-Semitic attack on the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. SWAT officer Timothy Matson raced into the gunfire and was shot 7 times chasing down the killer, and he was very successful. Timothy has just had his 12th surgery, and he's going in for many more. But he made the trip to be here with us tonight. Officer Matson, please.
Surprised the Democrats are cheering for a police officer. Oh my God. You know, look, for me, I'm like nauseous looking at Pelosi, but the good news is so is the rest of America. So it's almost like a weird good thing that we have that vile demon creature up there behind the president as the face of the Democrat Party. Just a leather-neck, drunken stooge.
Thank you. We are forever grateful. Thank you very much. Tonight, we are also joined by Pittsburgh survivor Judah Samet. He arrived at the synagogue as the massacre began. But not only did Judah narrowly escape death last fall, more than 7 decades ago, he narrowly survived the Nazi concentration camps. Today is Judah's 81st birthday.
But this is not going to stop them from calling Trump a Nazi. You know, here he is moving the embassy to Jerusalem, standing with Israel, talking about not letting Iran wipe Israel off the map, fighting anti-Semitism. And then you'll find a story tomorrow about how Trump's a Nazi. You will. It's like President Trump could have stormed the beaches of Normandy or something. Like he could have gone and murdered every Nazi with his bare hands, and the next day the Washington Post would say how he, you know, works for Hitler. Now he has the entire House and Congress singing happy birthday to a Jewish man. I mean, this guy's such a Nazi. Unbelievable. Wow, look at that smile, too. Yeah. It's like, here's President Trump strangling Hitler with his bare hands, and the media would say, look at Trump breathing life back into Hitler, trying to save him from sure death. And he's like, just die, Hitler, die.
He can still remember the
Washington Post like,
moment,
you see,
75 years
he's look at how close he is to Hitler.
in a concentration camp when he and his family were put on a train and told they were going to another camp. Suddenly, the train screeched to a very strong halt. A soldier appeared. Judah's family braced for the absolute worst. Then his father cried out with joy, "It's the Americans! It's the Americans!"
Yeah, now we've got the Nazis here murdering babies. Imagine if the babies could talk and people showed up to shut down all of these abortion murder factories. Those little tiny babies would be chanting, "The Americans are here, the Americans are here, we're saved."
Kaufman was a prisoner at Dachau. He remembers watching through a hole in the wall of a cattle car as American soldiers rolled in with tanks. To me, Joshua recalls, the American soldiers were proof that God exists, and they came down from the sky, they came down from heaven. I began this evening by honoring 3 soldiers who fought on D-Day in the Second World War. One of them was Herman Zaitchik. But there is more to Herman's story. A year after he stormed the beaches of Normandy, Herman was one of the American soldiers who helped liberate Dachau. He was one of the Americans who helped rescue Joshua from that hell on earth. Almost 75 years later, Herman and Joshua are both together in the gallery tonight, seated side by side, here in the home of American freedom. Herman and Joshua, your presence this evening is very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
I wonder if President Trump has kind of a side strategy as he's thanking all these great American heroes for their service. It's almost like a speech of attrition. It's like, how long can President Trump go before Nancy Pelosi passes out? Like, you know. Oh, here's Pelosi trying to steal the mic. That's what happens when you're drunk. You're a bit of a loudmouth.
Thank you. When American soldiers set out beneath the dark skies over the English Channel in the early hours of D-Day, 1944, they were just young men of 18 and 19 hurtling on fragile landing craft toward the most momentous battle in the history of war. They did not know if they would survive the hour. They did not know if they would grow old. But they knew that America had to prevail. Their cause was this nation and generations yet unborn. Why did they do it? They did it for America. They did it for us. Everything that has come since our triumph over communism, our giant leaps of science and discovery, our unrivaled progress towards equality and justice, all of it is possible thanks to the blood and tears and courage and vision of the Americans who came before. Think of this Capitol. Think of this very chamber where lawmakers before you voted to end slavery, to build the railroads and the highways, and defeat fascism, to secure civil rights, and to face down evil empires. Here tonight, we have legislators from across this magnificent republic. You have come from the rocky shores of Maine and the volcanic peaks of Hawaii, from the snowy woods of Wisconsin and the red deserts of Arizona, from the green farms of Kentucky and the golden beaches of California. Together, we represent the most extraordinary nation in all of history. What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? I ask the men and women of this Congress, look at the opportunities before us. Our most thrilling achievements are still ahead. Our most exciting journeys still await. Our biggest victories are still to come. We have not yet begun to dream. We must choose whether we are defined by our differences or whether we dare to transcend them. We must choose whether we squander our great inheritance or whether we proudly declare that we are Americans. We do the incredible. We defy the impossible. We conquer the unknown. This is the time to reignite the American imagination. This is the time to search for the tallest summit and set our sights on the brightest star. This is the time to rekindle the bonds of love and loyalty and memory that link us together as citizens, as neighbors, as patriots. This is our future, our fate, and our choice to make. I am asking you to choose greatness. No matter the trials we face, no matter the challenges to come, we must go forward together. We must keep America first in our hearts. We must keep freedom alive in our souls. And we must always keep faith in America's destiny. That one nation,
Pelosi's slipping.
under God, must be the hope.
If Trump can hold out 10, 15 more minutes, she'd pass out.
And the light and the glory.
Look, she's
among
fading.
all the nations of the world. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
And Pelosi thanks her lucky stars that Trump finished right before she passed out. All right, all joking aside, I would say I'd give President Trump a B tonight. I give that speech a B, and this is like immediate aftermath, so it's probably not even fair to even give it a grade right now. But just first instinct, I give it a B. I can't give it an A because, to me, there's just too much pandering to the Democrats. And here's what I'll say, and then I'm going to do a quick highlight, and we're going to get the crew out of here that's been working more than 10 hours today. See, part of conservatives' problem is that they're just not really men of action. They're men of words, they're men of values, they're men of principles, but they're just not men of action. And so because of that, the left has been able to run roughshod over our media, over our free speech, over our Second Amendment right, over just sexuality, our culture. I mean, you name it. You've seen what the left has done. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing, that overall, you know, humans have become more humane and more docile and, you know, more peaceful, you could say. But there's a flip side of that, that then allows evil to flourish because we are so tolerant and because it's not considered politically correct to just, walk up to this person and just punch him in the mouth. That's what these Democrats deserve. I mean, let's be perfectly clear. You're up here celebrating infanticide. I mean, punching you in the mouth is that's really tolerant. I mean, it's like in a sane society, you're out here celebrating infanticide and killing babies. It's like, the men in this society kind of gather around like 4 o'clock. Let's take him, over to the side of that hill over there and never see him again. You know what I'm saying? Okay, take care of him real quick. You don't need to make a big scene of it. You don't need to make a big bloody scene of it. Just, that guy over there wanting to murder babies, let's go ahead and throw him off the cliff. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. Well, not anymore, though, because, again, humans are more tolerant. You could say, I guess it's, people would claim it's a part of our spiritual evolution to be more tolerant with these people. Oh, these people just, they want to have wide open borders, bring in gang members and rapists and drug dealers and violent murderers and all of this stuff. And we just allow them to do it. And we'd say, okay, we'll fight with you politically and we'll verbally spar with you. No, people are dying. Someone needs to punch you in the mouth. So, I mean, and I'm not even like a practice what I preach kind of guy. I go out on the streets, I get spat at, I get swung at, I get sexually assaulted, and I just pretty much take all of it. So I'm not even doing what I'm preaching. It's just this is where we're at now in America because of our tolerance, because of how passive we are. So that's why this country is dying. Because we won't get up in the guy's face and punch him in the mouth. Because we won't stand up to some guy celebrating infanticide. All right, I could be ranting on that all night, but my point is I just want to try to, because I think people get a little confused or off-put by Alex's aggression, but you have to understand this guy has been waging war against these people for 20 frickin' years, and they have erased him off social media when he's more impactful than he's ever been before. And so he's just sitting here banging heads, just waiting for a few good men to ram heads with him. All it takes is a couple. And then it's like, and then people get upset with Mike Cernovich. And Mike Cernovich has he's got the same issue that Alex has. Cernovich actually goes out and does crap, and then nobody else does anything. And he's like, what the hell? I thought conservatives were in it to save the country. How come no one's fighting? So I don't even know what the answer is. And that's why the archaic primal response is war. Because when you realize what is going to happen to this country if we don't fight for our independence and our sovereignty, then yeah, that's right. You don't want to go to war for America. You don't want to go to war for the future. You don't want to go to war for prosperity. And we don't. And we lose it. All right. I'm going to just push all that aside and go through the highlights here so I don't keep the crew all night. Okay. Now, I did notice at the beginning of the State of the Union, and I think it remained throughout, a different attitude from the Democrats. In President Trump's first State of the Union, it was pretty much like just pouty. We want nothing to do with this. This is the worst thing ever. This guy is just awful. Nobody stood, and they just crossed their arms, pouted. A lot of them got up and left early, laughed on their cell phones during it. So there was a different attitude. It wasn't so rude. It wasn't so disrespectful. The Democrats did seem engaged. And I'm not sure what that represents. I'm not sure if that represents Trump is actually trying to make deals with these people and maybe having some accord. If maybe some of these Democrats got to Trump with something, or whether that's good or bad, it's just something I noticed. In fact, you even had minutes where the Democrats were cheering. You never saw that during the first one. So an interesting note there. The message of unity, which everyone expected, and it does. His State of the Union speech did leak tonight, folks. There's some people who are pretty much showing that they got it in the media tonight. But the message of unity, I think, was pretty prevalent throughout. He highlighted the economy and the economic success early on. He talks about improvements to health care, which the Democrats were kind of lukewarm on because it's something they fight for, at least verbally, but never actually deliver, other than to the big insurance companies and to empowering the government. But he did talk about improving health care, getting rid of Obamacare. When he got into his section on cutting the regulations at a record rate, the Democrats were pouting and booing and crossing their arms on that. Again, these people want more government. I can't. I'll start pontificating again. The crew will be here all night. Just, again, the optics of Nancy Pelosi versus Mike Pence. I talked about earlier how it's like if you're at a party or you're at the bar, like you obviously know who's drunk, especially when you're sober. Like you can tell, okay, this person's drunk. Like, all right, all right. Pelosi looked like the drunk one at the party, the drunk one at the bar, and you're showing up sober and you're just like, geez. And then Pence was like, stoic, focused, just boom. Like you could see the focus. You could see the seriousness. And then Pelosi's like her eyes are like bugged out. She's like constantly like moving and looks like her dentures are falling out or something. I don't know. But it's just like Pelosi looks like a damn tweaker. Alex kept saying meth head. It's like when I used to show up to parties in high school and college, when we saw somebody like that, we called them a tweaker. That's a tweaker. That's a tweaker right there. They're tweaking. You had Joe Manchin was the only Democrat that cheered when President Trump was celebrating the resurgence of American energy. And it was kind of an awkward moment because obviously all the Republicans stood and cheered. And then Joe Manchin stands up from West Virginia, coal country, and he stands up and he's cheering and he looks around at all the Democrats sitting and he's just like, screw you. So good for Joe Manchin. Amazing to hear President Trump really hammering. Well, actually, there were 3 exact quotes. Foolish wars. He said, I'm trying to remember how he finished it. He said, foolish wars, politics, and politically influenced investigations are keeping this country from reaching its greatness or keeping this country from reaching its full potential, whatever it is. I mean, that's just universally spot on. That is just universally spot on. Foolish wars. He's obviously talking about the never-ending wars in the Middle East. Politics. He's obviously talking about the Democrats and their left-wing media just lying through their teeth all day long to try to destroy Trump's agenda. And then the politically influenced investigation. Well, boy, I wonder what he could be talking about there. Obviously, the Mueller investigation, but kind of let that off the hook. Just hit that little zing with it. The Alice Johnson highlight. That's a big moment. That's a big moment. Now, we've seen, Hollywood and the rap industry with like Snoop Dogg and T.I. and Eminem and all these rappers come out, and I guess Cardi B come out and, talk trash on Trump and everything. But these are the same people that pushed for the pardon of Alice Johnson years ago. No other president did it until President Trump did it. So will they give Trump the credit? That was a powerful moment. And we'll see if they want to highlight that tomorrow on, all the channels and media that carry your favorite rappers that hate Trump. There's Alice Johnson tearing up about it. So that was a powerful moment that if the left was fair, they would be replaying that moment all day long. You can see that lady in the background is obviously very thrilled by that. She caught some Z's early. So it'll be interesting to see how the Alice Johnson highlight plays in the media tomorrow. If it was Obama that did that, it'd be the main story. Every rapper, every hip-hop artist, all over Hollywood, every musician, everybody would be raising up and standing in solidarity with Alice Johnson and Obama for pardoning her. Oh, but since Trump did it, let's see if it even makes the press. Oh, yeah, and now we know why Maxine Waters was so afraid of that State of the Union, don't we? Wow. Yes, we do. President Trump showing the pardon of Alice Johnson. President Trump talking about the employment numbers. So Maxine Waters hates that. President Trump talking about the wide open borders causing crime in her district. So now we know why Maxine Waters was so fearful of tonight's State of the Union, because President Trump talked about getting black unemployment to record lows, pardoning Alice Johnson, the prison reform, which, again, that was a huge thing for Democrats until Trump did it. He actually gets it done. Now nobody seems to care about prison reform. So that's why Maxine Waters was so afraid of that State of the Union. You had President Trump delivered like a perfect one-liner. It's kind of a long run-on sentence, actually, about stopping crime and making America safe again. And he highlighted the drug busts, you know, the murderers, the rapists, everybody that gets caught at the border, the terrorists, the human smuggling and everything. And he talked about how we need to stop this, stop crime. This was actually unbelievable. Kamala Harris had a smug look of arrogance on her face. I'm sorry, whenever I see Kamala Harris now, you know, Kamala Harris made her own bed, pun fully intended. But it was incredible that you literally had the Democrats jeering and pouting like he's talking about stopping crime. He's talking about stopping human smuggling. Like this president, he's talking about stopping fentanyl from killing people. I mean, literally, they're like, I want the crime. I want the crime. What the hell is that? So it really just makes you wonder who these people are. Oh, how about the beautiful moment where he calls out the rich politicians for having mansions and walls and border security on their own home, but then we're not allowed to have it at the southern border with Nancy Pelosi right in the background. I mean, she's like she's got a huge mansion, a huge plot of land. There's gates, there's moats, there's fences, there's land borders. I mean, she's got every measure of a physical barrier that you can get, and she doesn't want a border wall. We all know why. She probably likes some of those drugs that are coming over. She maybe profits off of some of that human smuggling. I'm just assuming that's why she doesn't want to have the border. I mean, you can only make logical conclusions here. But, for Trump to say the rich politicians, this woman's made billions of dollars since she became a congresswoman with a meager salary of $250,000 a year, somehow makes billions. Oh, is she some sort of investment genius? I'm sorry. I haven't seen any of Nancy Pelosi's big investment genius takes on anything yet. So how is she becoming a billionaire? Oh, but for her to be sitting back there in frame while Trump is talking about rich politicians building walls around their houses, it was such a moment of glory. Oh, when you had President Trump mention, I guess it was the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. So the women's rights, the 100th anniversary of the women getting the right to vote in the West, in America. Again, the West setting the standard for the rest of the world as far as, you know, freedom and equality and women's rights and everything like that. But Democrats act like that's never happened. And so this is so weird. Again, it's like you just have to, like, who the hell are these people? Like, what is wrong with their brains? Trump celebrates how on the 100th anniversary of the women's right to vote, there's more women in Congress than ever before. And what happened? Nancy Pelosi stands up and conducts all the KKK outfit wearing women in the Democrat stands tonight. They're all wearing their KKK uniforms. It was good to see the Democrats go back to their roots of the KKK. Yeah, there they are right there. So good on the Democrats for going back to their KKK roots. But notice, so this is actually the moment right here. Trump celebrates having more women in Congress than ever before, and they only show the Democrat women. Do you know that there's Republican women? Did you know that? Yeah. There's actually Republican women in Congress. I know, shocking, right? Guess what? President Trump also appointed a bunch of women to his administration. But you notice how they didn't show them. Look at all these dingbat women and Nancy Pelosi raising the roof. Woo! First of all, that's not how you do it. It's supposed to be like this, but fine. So, ooh! Yeah, I bet you're glad you aren't in Saudi Arabia with your hair showing, Miss Tlaib. So it's like what? So President Trump says, congratulations, we have more women in Congress than ever before. And then they act like that was the Democrats. They act like, oh, it's only the Democrats electing women. Oh, it's all the Democrats that put women in. Oh, it's the Democrats that are responsible for women's suffrage. Literally the exact opposite. So it's just ridiculous. These people are so ceremonious. It's all about image to them. It's all about pop culture and trendiness. Ooh, I'm Kamala Harris and I got a big mouth. What political accomplishments do you have, Kamala? Well, I don't know, baby. Why don't you ask Willie Brown? He knows. So I just found that ridiculous to see these dingbat women. I guarantee you none of them will accomplish anything. Maybe Cortez. Cortez has the only chance. I mean, I'll give her credit. She's a fighting spirit. She at least tries to do stuff. The rest of these women, nothing. By the way, why was Kamala Harris not wearing white tonight? Is I the only one that noticed that? Kamala Harris was wearing navy. So, but it's only Democrat women. There's no Republican women in Congress. There's no women in the Trump administration. Oh, wait. Yeah, there are. They just get ignored by the Democrats. And then that bitch, Nancy Pelosi, makes sure that only the Democrat women get highlighted. Because it's just like what the Democrats do to black people. If you're a black conservative, they ignore you. You don't exist. They call you racial slurs. Oh, but if you're a black Democrat or liberal, you're God's gift to earth. But as soon as you're a conservative and you're a black person, no, you don't exist. You don't count. They do the same thing to women. They do the same thing to Hispanics because it's all virtue signaling for them. See, look, I mean, when you're a piece of garbage human, okay, let's just call it what it is. When you're a total piece of garbage human and you have no values, you have to virtue signal. That's what you do. When you have no, yeah, there's Nancy Pelosi. See, I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. We made it into Congress. We don't do crap for women at the end of the day, but we know how to dance and make it into Congress. Woo, let's make a big fuss about it. Meanwhile, they ignore Trump's administration that has more women than any other president in higher positions. And Trump says more women in Congress, and Nancy Pelosi acts like, look, it's only the Democrats. See, only the Democrats want women in power, not conservatives or Republicans. Meanwhile, they just ignore all the Republican women. They just ignore all the female Trump supporters. They just ignore Trump's administration with all the women. I'm just sick of the fake virtue signaling for these people. That's what it is. I'm just sick of all the fake virtue signaling because they are just garbage people. That's why they have to virtue signal. Oh, and so there were, I believe, 4 different chants of USA tonight. One for keeping us sovereign, keeping us great. One for the lowest black unemployment. Another one at the end, I think it was when he was talking about those war heroes. And then the only one that the Democrats cheered for was after Trump mentioned women in Congress. So the Democrats don't want black people with jobs. They don't want war heroes honored, and they don't want this country to have a border. They just want a virtue signal for their own fake social justice. Trump talks about getting us out of the Middle East. He pounded on that. That's back to his campaign message of 2016. Glad to hear that. Highlighting the war heroes and calling for unity. Now, let me get 2 final points out here, and I'm going to try to condense these and get us all out of here, guys. So, first, just let me say this. I think people will probably not understand why Trump made such a big fuss about the old war heroes that were out there today. But here's what it is. And this is lost in our society. And whether it's good or bad, I suppose you could argue. I guess it really just depends on your belief system. But when you put something ahead of yourself, or when you realize that there's something bigger than you and more important than you, and then you realize you have the privilege or the opportunity to die for something bigger than you. And that's why Trump talks about D-Day and storming the beaches of Normandy. When you know you're going into this situation and you're probably not going to make it out, but if you're victorious, you did not die in vain. because with your death came victory, because there's something bigger than you.